Pablo, 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 Pablo.
Good morning, Mr. Paul Reed Smith.
How you doing, Paul?
Is it story time?
Make me get dressed up in my own house.
Hey, man, can you hear me?
How you doing, Paul?
Hey, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's up?
How are you, man? Are you okay?
And that is a ridiculous piece of wood.
Thanks for being on, David.
Thanks for having me.
We sent you a new guitar.
Which I posted about it. It brought me to tears when I opened the case. It's just beautiful. I love playing it. John and I have been talking about the idea of having one guitar that you play all night, and I'm trying to make this be that guitar that I do that I keep with me all night with the layer set.
I thought it looked like a David Ryan Harris guitar of all weird things. I think, it's going to hang well on you.
I think so.
So you're a really good songwriter and a really good singer, and, playing in John's band and doing all your solo stuff. Talk about your solo thing for a minute. Where are you at with that? I mean, I think the whole world's going to be interested in, your level of musicianship is so high.
I love telling stories. I love writing songs and sort of putting my stuff together and kind of being a studio rat and just trying to give a voice to, sort of my emotion and my story. I think music is sort of therapy for anybody that makes it. And I think I'll always continue to do that. My desire for hopping in a rented Nissan Rogue and driving around the country to do that is waning somewhat. So I think the next step for me is kind of writing and producing for other people. I think I'll always put records out and I'll always, write songs that are my story just because I kind of have to do it to survive. But like I said, my love for doing the solo touring at the level that I'm doing it is definitely waning. So the live stuff those shows will be few and far between as the years go by, next couple of years. But yeah, I'll still continue to write and hopefully find other like-minded artists or other places to, kind of help people tell their stories.
Do you love singing? I
do. It is definitely therapy for me. I do it so often that I don't realize I'm doing it. I was in the drugstore the other day and I had my mask on, and for some reason, subconsciously, I thought because I had the mask on that the sound wasn't coming out, and I was walking down the aisle, and this woman was like, "Sing it, baby," and I was like, "Oh wow, that's me." I do it without thinking about it.
So one time I was playing guitar and it was this really loud person singing in my ear, and I was playing a solo and I couldn't, that's happened several times. I couldn't understand where the singing was coming from. And I realized it was me humming along with the melody I was playing. It's the same kind of thing,
Yeah.
So there's a Bigsby on this guitar.
Yes.
That's old school.
I've just fallen in love with the Bigsby. I realized I'm not like a super fast soloist. And I realized, I think John actually pointed out at what point, the solo stuff that I play on guitar is really the same stuff that I sing.
Yeah.
And I just find that the Bigsby helps me get sort of that vocal sort of vibrato thing a lot easier. And it just feels very fluid and natural to me.
That's cool. So I have 3 blood kids and 2 step kids, the Brady Bunch. You got 5 kids going too, don't you?
Yes.
You love being a father?
Man, it is one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given. I had, 3 children with my first marriage. I was really young. I had my first son when I was 24 in my sort of punk rock band, and just spent most of their childhood freaking out about money and how I was going to do it, and just wasn't very present as a dad at all. And then fast forward a few years, another marriage, and now I just know I still freak out about money a little bit, but I just try to hold on to being present as a parent, and it's just made me such a better human being.
So you called yourself a studio rat, and when 2009 happened and the mortgage crisis happened, that rack of stuff behind me, I sold it all to pay my bills. Right. So, and I was complaining about it that I had to sell all this stuff once to a rock star, very, very famous gentleman. And he got my face angrily. He said, "You shut up." I said, "Why?" He says, "Because I had to sell all my guitars 3 times and you need to shut up."
Mm-hmm.
And so I got over it, and now the rack's back full. So
I love that.
Studio rat.
I love that. You know, I went through the same thing when we first moved to LA from Atlanta.
Yeah.
You know, just got broke, and I had to look around the room and go, "What can I get rid of? You know, what can I?"
Money in the bank in the studio, right?
Exactly.
All right. So you have a couple of questions for me, I'm told.
Mm-hmm.
I get as uncomfortable with this as I, as I get uncomfortable in my life. So you might as well just do it and let me come out of my skin, and we'll go from there.
Well, I sort of preface it with the idea that I'm really excited about the idea of what the guitar means in the 21st century. As much as I love vintage tones and vintage things, I'm often wondering, like, what would, how is a guitar supposed to progress? So my questions are kind of in that lane. The Rickenbacker, like frying pan guitars, like 1931.
Mm-hmm.
There've been, various advancements, steel string, coming up with the arch top, tremolos, multiple pickups. What would you say is the most important advancement on guitar since that 31 sort of frying pan guitar?
Well, when you mentioned the frying pan guitar, I thought it was the first one too, but I got my hands on a 1923 Lloyd Loar harp guitar that was an electric guitar.
Oh, wow.
The first electric guitar, the pickup was about this long, and it slid out of this harp guitar, and I was pretty sure I had my hands on the first electric guitar ever made, and it predated it by a long time. From what I understand, Lloyd Loar tried to get Gibson to get in the electric guitar business back then. Then we go on. I think the guitar is being used as a synthesizer controller now. So, John's pedal board or anybody's pedal board, the guitar is a way to control all these tones.
Right.
And Hendrix kind of started it, and the Beatles started it in a way. There was no such thing as a pedal board. Then it was coil cords and little cables hooking them together.
Right.
But my hope is that the guitar continues to be the violin of our time. The thing I like about the guitar is like a harpsichord where you can change the length of the strings with your hand, and it makes it really intimate. And so you can write these songs with a guitar. All the harmonies there, all the rhythms there, all the melody is there. Everything you need to accompany your voice is there. So my hope is that people keep stretching the envelope like they did in the last 10 years with all these new pedals. But I don't see that the guitar is going to change that much. What I think is going to happen, my hope is that people are not throwing them away. So I'll give you an example. When I was in the Atlanta airport, there's a guy walking by me and my wife with a nylon string guitar in his hands and no case. I said, "That's the problem right there." And she goes, "What are you talking about?" I said, "What's he going to do with that guitar when it's broken?" She says, "He's going to throw it away." And I went, "Exactly. When you have a TV and it's broken, you throw it away. Microwave's broken, you throw it away. Stove's broken, you throw it away. We used to repair this stuff." And what I want is the guitar to come back to the repair shops the way a Stradivari still goes to the violin shop. I want it to be taken care of as a high-level quality musical instrument. Most studios had a tech in the basement working on the gear all the time. And so to me, I want the guitar to not be something that you get for $5. I want it to be something that you scream for if the house is on fire, And so hopefully my advancement is that this whole COVID thing, people are digging deep writing songs. And I hope that the guitar is what they wrote the tunes with. That's my hope.
Well, I think from a design standpoint, I mean, the guitar has to be like worth it to want to repair. And I think you do a fantastic job of making instruments that are worthy of being repaired. It's not, it's just artisan craftsmanship. I think that you are like head and shoulders above a lot of guys. I was talking to a guy yesterday about, he was asking what kind of new guitar he should buy. And I was like, man, I think Paul is making guitars that
Sweet.
will stand the test of time. And I really do feel incredibly honored and really lucky to have the guitar that you made for me. It's beautiful in every way. I realize that's not a question. That's more me.
No, that's fine. Look, we're having a discussion, right? And then these conversations are set up to try to pull things out of me and pull things out of you and all the other artists that normally we wouldn't get to. That's what these conversations are for. So ask another question. That one didn't make me very uncomfortable. That was my wheelhouse. That was fun.
Okay. This is actually a quick question. I don't know if you, well, we'll see where you go. Cream Clapton or Journeyman Clapton, and why?
That's a fascinating question. As the story goes, when Sunshine of Your Love was coming out of the speakers in the control room, they knew it was a hit. They were dancing. They knew, like when Billie Jean was coming out of the speakers when Michael Jackson recorded, they knew. They knew they had something. They was bringing the hairs on their arms up. As Quincy Jones says, unless you're getting chills, you don't know if you got a hit or not, right? But he knew when he was getting chills, right? But then there's some of the stuff that happened, later was extraordinary. I mean, even as out of tune as Layla is, it's magic. Some of the stuff that they did in that period was some of my favorite music to listen to. And I'm not talking about cocaine. I'm talking about some of the other tunes that they did. Most of it, I guess, it was on the Ocean Boulevard record. And so you're talking about somebody who has a deep impact on the world, and then he matures to a different spot. So I see it as a journey, not as make me pick from one to the other. I would beg you to not make me pick, because one of them, I mean, the first time I heard Sunshine of Your Love and it came out of the car speakers, it was like the first time I heard LaGrange, or I heard James Brown come out of the radio. I was like, are you kidding me? This is a new animal. Look, my take on this is that there used to be 30 people in a band, a big band. You had, 4 trumpets and 4 saxophones, 4 trombones, and a bass player, and a piano player, and a singer, and a leader, and all these people. And then Elvis shows up, and now you got 3 people. And the energy that happened when he did Heartbreak Hotel on the Jack Parr show was literally electric on the other side. And then the Beatles are on Ed Sullivan, and and then all that James Brown stuff, and Little Richard singing Teddy, Ready Teddy, and the timbre of his voice was a new animal in our entire world. Nobody had ever heard the likes of it. It'd bring the hairs on your arms up, and Aretha, and all the stuff that happened. And now there are all these specials, the Berry Gordy documentary that they just did, and there are all these other documentaries, and I'm watching them, and my jaw's on the floor. The Tina Turner one is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And when she says she couldn't stand that tune, and it changed her life, I'm like laughing. I was like, how could you not stand it? It's the best vocal you ever did. So I see it as a journey, and if you force me to pick, I would probably go Journeyman, because I can listen to those tunes more times in a row now than I can, the early stuff. I beat them up, but I really would beg you not to make me pick.
All right.
I met Eric once. He was watching Benny Hill, and I didn't want to bother him. I left him alone. I didn't want to try to sell him guitars. Derek Trucks was playing in his band, and I was there to see Derek, and I just left him alone. I had such an honor for him. Another one of those experiences, once I was in a room showing guitars to Warren Haynes and Derek and a bunch of other people, and there's Greg Allman sitting in a chair.
Oh, wow.
Left him alone because it's Greg Allman. I didn't want to bother him.
Right.
He looks at me and says, what am I, chopped liver? I'm a guitar player. Why don't you show me the guitar? He's the one that ordered one that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so these are people, and they have lives and careers, and then all the judgments that go on around them. It's got to sound like, static to them at some point. I just want to leave them alone and enjoy this what they do.
Well, I mean, I think a musician and a creative person, it is really about the journey. It's very rare that you come up with a pedal board or a signal chain or amp and a guitar, and you're like, okay, well, that's it. I'm done forever. You're constantly changing, even if it ends up that they both kind of sound the same. I've gone back and listened to recordings from 15 years ago where I remember thinking that my tone was terrible. And I listen to it and I'll go, A, that sounds pretty good. And B, it still sounds like me. Like it's all, different versions of the same expression. And you have to allow the people that we love that create music to kind of go on that journey, no pun intended, from sunshine of your love to bad love or whatever.
There's a tune he does that comes to mind. It's got a line in it, "Motherless Children." I can't remember. It's got a kind of a march beat in it. I can't remember the name of the tune, but every time it comes on the radio, I'm glued.
Right.
I think Clapton has been extraordinary. I asked Derek Trucks about it when he was in his band, and he said, Paul, I was in the studio with him, and we were in there, and he had asked me to play slide in his band, and I spent 3 days playing, and it was time for Eric's solo. He hadn't picked up a guitar, been in the control room the whole time, walks out in the room, picks up the guitar, plugs it in. What came out of the speakers was unbelievable. And he goes, and I realized why he was Eric Clapton.
Right.
And that's Derek,
Yeah. High praise from one of the best to ever do it.
Yeah, all the musicians. He came here and played in my studio once, and all the musicians came, from my world. Greg Granger and Gary Granger and Dennis and all the other people that live around here, and they didn't know of Derek Trucks that much, and they heard him play, and they went, vocal.
Yeah. I told Derek all the time he's my favorite singer.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
By the way, John plays vocal too.
He does, 100%.
When he was in my office, he was singing melodies the entire time, and if he picked up the guitar, he would sing along. He would play the guitar exactly what he was singing in his head over and over and over again.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it before. I mentioned it earlier. I play what I sing, and he sings what he plays.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very cool. I adore that. Are you going to play at the club near me ever again? The Rams Head, didn't you used to play here in Annapolis?
Yes, I absolutely will.
When you come, I would like to take you to dinner and show you my place where we eat. I live next to the best crab house on the planet. Can you eat seafood?
I can eat seafood.
There's somebody in here who got allergic to it yesterday. He ain't eating it again.
Oh.
So I love it. I love eating crabs. I'll take you out.
Great. It's a date.
Ooh, I like that. All right, David, thanks for being on. I appreciate it so much.
Hey, thanks, Paul, for all you do and all you've done to sort of advance design. And I think it's really important that you also, I have an SE1, to be able to have access to a guitar of that quality at that price point, I think means more to the world than a whole lot of other things that a kid can have. And it'd be a quality guitar.
With a stripy F hole, like curved F hole?
No.
It's a solid body guitar.
Yes.
And then we made those into hollow bodies too as well. Okay, that's a good guitar. I'm glad you like it.
That's a great guitar.
It's got P90 in it?
Yep.
I remember very, very well. All right, thank you, David. Appreciate being on.
Have a great day.
All right, see you. Bye-bye.
Bye.